That is a perfect alignment off the final turn, and before they get to the green flag, they start to fan out just a little bit. And an issue for Zach Beach in the start. Didn't quite get the jump that he got yesterday. It's Rosenquist, then Kaiser. Veach wants to go side by side in an effort to grab that second position. He's going to have to give it up. So Kyle Kaiser goes from third to second. Rosenquist is P1, and Felix has about a 4-car length advantage as they head toward turn number 4. Again, it's Kaiser, then it's Zach Veach. They climb on the binders, work their way through turn 4. Now they're snake their way through turn number 5, and we've got a collision deep in the field. We got a few cars stacked up there. The number 3, Scott Hargrove, is among them. We see the 51 of Shelby Blackstock, and the 7 of R.C. Ederson brings out the caution flag. They got through turn 1 okay, Davey, but turn 5 not so 4, 5 not so much.
They're really aggressive going into turn 4, and somebody made really an outside line through there, which is not easy to do, by the way, and it kind of just bottled them up a little bit. Some guys got on the brakes and got out of shape, and next thing you know, 3 cars pile up.
Full course caution, and Gabby, I guess the focus was upon playing nice at turn number 1, and then after that it's a battle for position. Things like this happen just simply because it's so tough to pass here. When you feel like you got an opportunity, you got to take it.
Yeah, absolutely, and not only that, we're racing here on a street course, and it just seems to kind of funnel down, and it gets really tight. There's not a lot of room for going side by side through there.
Davey, not extensive damage to anyone's race car, but certainly puts them in a position. Shelby Blackstock lost a good chunk of the front wing assembly. We'll let you call the replay.
Yeah, who's that on the outside there? Can't tell for sure, but made aggressive. Oh, actually, it looks like the number 51 car got into Hargrove.
Blackstock,
right there. Yeah, Blackstock actually just tapped him going to the corner, turned him around, and that's actually what caused the whole thing right there.
He drove up on the side pod, and R.C. Anderson had absolutely nowhere to go.
Yeah, wrong place. He tried to go to the inside, tight inside, and just closed up there for nowhere for him to go at all. So Hargrove just got punted, basically.
We see the number 3 reporting to pit road. That is, of course, the car of Scott Hargrove. Speaking of pit road, that's where Rob Houghton is.
Yeah, R.C. Anderson already into pit lane. A very quick front wing change for Anderson to the number 7. Obviously involved in that as well. I think a couple of front wings. I know that Shelby needs a front wing as well. Hargrove's going to need a little bit of work too. So all 3 drivers involved will work their way down here to pit lane, and we'll go down to Dave. He's with Hargrove.
Yeah, here with Scott Hargrove, who has pulled his number 3 bright yellow Team Pelfrey machine here into pit road. A little bit of right rear suspension damage as the engine is now shut off. They are going to put on 4 fresh Cooper tires, but they're still banging on that right rear to see if they can fix it and get him back out in this race. Shelby Blackstock now also on pit road. They're going to change that front wing for Shelby, and he's down and away as well.
Looked like Sorrellis and the Growl heated up a little bit there, Davey, before all that contact happened behind them. That's the 4 and the 17. Looked like they banged wheels.
They got together a little bit as well. Yeah, they sure did. And is it Green? Yeah, Green's back out, single file. Wow, what a great jump for Rosenquist. He knew it was coming, had a nice start.
That's a pretty quick cleanup by the safety crew. Of course, not a lot of debris to be laid down. Zach Veach has some coming to his side. That's the number 4 of Felix Sorrellis. Zach doesn't give him much room. He continues on. He just about, that Carling racing car, nipped the rear end of that number 5 of Zach Veach. So Rosenquist with an advantage. Kaiser, then Veach, then Sorrellis, then the Growl. The top 5 finally worked their way at speed in front of Jay Query.
Moving their way now all the way through and through turn number 7. Beach trying to close in on Kaiser, but he's got some company now. Sorrellis just behind him. Pretty good battle starting to shape up through turn number 9.
On, here comes Felix Sorrellis. He's going to catch the lap car of Scott Hargrove, so this is going to be awfully interesting, Mark, over the next couple laps. Hargrove's going to move to the outside and heat way to Rosenquist. Rest of the field, single file and clear through turns in.
Davey, that's a way for Scott Hargrove to build some points and build some trust among his competitors with a class move like that.
Yeah, no, he just pulled over, let him go, but he can run with these guys, so he wants to get his lap back is what he wants to do now. He would love to get back in front of the field and have a yellow come out so he can cycle to the back of the field and at least have a shot in this race.
So in case you missed it, 45 laps are scheduled today. fast lap just set by Kyle Kaiser at a minute 9.2. So Rosenquist, Kaiser, Veach, Sorales, and DeGraw, your top 5. Gabby talked about it as we see Kaiser working his way around the car of Scott Hargrove now. Certainly out front is the place to be here. It just eliminates the potential for any problems at all.
Yeah, very true. I'd say by now you'd start to see the cars start to really settle in, but I'm not seeing any of that. I'm seeing some really tight racing and, still a lot of opportunity for passing.
I think, we've had Indy Lights drivers in here in the past. We've had Sage Karam, Anders Krohn. And one of the things that they're always amazed by is how much different this looks from in here in terms of how much tighter the racing looks.
It really does. I think when you're in the cockpit, you know the situation, you know the surroundings around you, and you know what you're dealing with. When you look at it from the outside, you're not really sure what the guys are thinking inside the cockpit.
That's a pretty aggressive move down into the turn by the 17 machine. That's Andre DeGraw, and he climbed on the binders. Those tires aren't going to hold up.
Yeah, you know what? He definitely has, I don't know, a little too much front brake because he's done that the last couple laps. A lot of smoke coming off his front tires going down into that first corner.
Jake Leader's coming your way. Rosenquist continues to lead.
Yeah, Rosenquist's lead is now growing. About 8 car lengths before Kaiser. Now things start to settle out just a little bit. You've got Veach and then Sorales. Front 4 pretty evenly spaced, Nick.
Rosenquist clears that kink in between turns 9 and 10. Kaiser not letting him get away. About 7 to 8 car lengths as they set up for turn 10. Then Zach Veach and our winner from yesterday, Felix Sorales. Field still single file as about 8 or 9 of them now, Mark, have cleared that lap car of Scott Hargrove.
4 laps in. Let's get an update on our leader from Rob House.
Hey guys, you know that Felix Rosenquist went to school yesterday. His first ever rolling start in an open wheel car. He definitely got totally schooled by Zach Veach. He went way back into the field. This time, however, starting from the pole position, he got a good jump coming off of turn 14 to make sure there was no doubt that he was going to lead coming out of turn number 1. It's a veteran European F3 champion, and he was able to take them to school here today.
Davey, no question, Zach wants to win this race and wants to recover as many points as he possibly can that he lost yesterday with the electrical problems that relegated him to 16th. That said, if he has a third place car, does he stick with a third place car to avoid a disaster like he had yesterday?
Sure. I mean, I think Zach's smart enough to know he can only get so much out of the car. He'll get every ounce of that car, but no sense going over it right now. It's back to points racing a little bit. If you can't win it, you finish the best as you possibly can. Unless he's going for that lead, you just hang out and ride third if you can.
So Rosenquist, Kaiser, Veach, Sorales, and DeGraw, Clayman, DeMello, Jones, Stoneman, Kellett, Pedrahita, your top 10, Urrutia, Anderson, Alberico, then the 3 involved in the first lap incident running toward the bottom at 14th, 15th, and 16th. That's R.C. Ederson, Shelby Blackstock, and Scott Hargrove. Been in that position before, Gabby, where you just simply had to race for as many points as you could, knowing you didn't have the car to win?
Absolutely, and that's what it's all about. It's finishing as high as your car will let you. At this point in the race, I think it's still really early to tell. You got to remember this race is 15 laps longer than it was from race 1. From what I've heard from crew at the Bilardi camp, Zach is really good at managing his tires, and I think that may come into play a little bit later in the race. We'll see.
Nick, we thought he was in control 17 laps in when it all went awry, so you never know what opportunity might not.
Well, and that's Felix Rosenquist has to know that, being the teammate of Zach Veach. If there were mechanical gremlins yesterday on one of those Bilardi Auto Racing cars, there's always the possibility that it could happen to the second one. All 3 of those leaders, Rosenquist, Kaiser, and Veach, clean through turn number 10 as they've kind of spaced themselves out here, Mark, in the early goings.
The lead 1.7 seconds over Kyle Kaiser for Felix. He leads Zach Veach by 3.1 seconds. As they make their way down this long straightaway. Davey, if you're looking for places on the course where you can relax a little bit, you don't want to lose the concentration, but is this long straightaway a chance for you to collect yourself?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's the only place you can really relax at all, but it's so important to get off turn 13 clean and get your momentum up because that's where you have the most speed, so you don't want anybody to beat you off of that corner. And so even though it's a straightaway, you relax a little bit. 13 and turn 1, your passing zone are so important. And the rest of the track is just tight. I mean, it's like a canyon with walls on both sides of it, very difficult to pass anywhere else other than turn 1.
Jake, the front 5 pretty well have separated themselves, but from 5th through 10th, that looks pretty good.
That battle for 6th is a really good one coming at you, Nick. That's Zachary Clayman DeMello in the 13, and then Ed Jones, the veteran, just behind him. Those two fractured back from that front 5, but making things interesting in that battle for 6th.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, the third car in line with that battle is Dean Stoneman, who had issues yesterday. So that 3-car battle, I believe it's for 6th, Mark Jane, shaping up pretty well.
Again, 45 laps this one is scheduled for. We've completed 37 of them. Rosenquist, check that, we have 37 yet to complete. We've completed 8 of them. Rosenquist, Kaiser, Veets, Sorrellis, DeGraw, your top 5. Clayman DeMello, Jones, Stoneman, Kellett, and Pedrahita, your top 10. Have we settled into a race pace here, Dave?
Finally. I mean, these first few laps, after yesterday being so calm and everything looked really, you guys behaved themselves. Pretty crazy these first few laps, but I have to say right now they're pretty spread. They're still good racing, but it looks like they found their way. They know what their cars, how they're handling, what they can do with them, and looks like we'll go for a while here, hopefully.
A decent rebound for Ed Jones. He could do no better than 10th yesterday. He has moved his way up to 7th, but again, he, Clayman, DeMello, and Stoneman engaged in a pretty good battle, Nick. Jones is the meat in that sandwich.
Yeah, he is all over the back. Took a peek really at the last second. Not a realistic opportunity to get around Zachary Clayman DeMello, but as they clear turn 10 mark, it was about a half a car length. He is all over the rear wing of Clayman DeMello as they set up for 13 and 14.
Rob Howden.
Guys, if we're going to talk about the battle here between Clayman DeMello and Jones, we have to look at the aero setup on both of those cars. They have the wicker bill, the medium wicker bill on the car of Zach Clayman DeMello, but again, we'll look at the long straightaway. Here comes the pass actually into turn number 1. Remember, Jones with no wicker bill at all in the car will have more top speed at the end of the straightaway.
Well, that's where he passed him. That's exactly what he did. Got in that draft, made a nice run going into turn 1, and the straightaway speeds are going to be better now. Where he's going to lack a little bit is in the corners, the technical areas, because he won't have the downforce of the cars around him. But you know what? It's really not a passing zone in there anyway, so you can hold it behind you in the technical areas and beat him on the straightaways. That's the way to go.
Okay, Gabby, let us climb into the cockpit with you. In terms of making that decision when to pass, what do you assess? How does that all come together and lead you to have the confidence to make that move?
It really all is a build-up to it. You're constantly analyzing the guy in front of you, where they're weak, where they're strong, and where you're going to have that opportunity. And sometimes that might not present itself in an obvious way. Sometimes it'll just be all of a sudden, and you got to be ready to bounce on that. So you want to be as close as you can at all times to the guy ahead of you, so that when an opportunity does arise, you take it.
Again, that's a battle for 6th, 7th, and 8th that we're watching, and Stoneman in that 27 looks pretty aggressive, Davey. Matter of fact, he's going to make a pass to Ed Jones, but he can't make it stick.
Yeah, he just can't make it stick. It's just a little bit too hot into turn 1, and that happens a lot. It's a great crossover pass. We see that sprint car racing a lot. I love it. So these guys, he went for it, just couldn't hold on to it.
And as they continue to go at it, the 11 machine of Ed Jones is starting to gain some breathing room, Jake Query, but that battle for 6, 7, and 8 rages on in front of you.
No problem.
You know what? We've got a problem here, and that is that youngster, Clayman DeMello, who runs so strong. He actually pulled to the side. Looks like he might have lost power. He went into the runoff area. Just 17 years old from Quebec, waving his arms out of the car, and what looked to be a promising day for him here in this second race of the weekend may have come to an end. That car is not under power right now, about 20 feet below me here in turn number 7.
You can see that Yukos spread across the rear wing of that car. Davey, good news for them in the offseason, building a shop in the Indianapolis area. I think that shows their commitment to the series as a whole.
Yeah, and I would talk to the team quite a bit over the winter, actually, on some opportunities, and they really would like to move up to IndyCar racing as well. With that new shop being built, it probably won't be this year for the IndyCar, but I expect to see them have an IndyCar program for 2017.
Jake, I took a peek in on the battle for 8th. It's the 28 of Dalton Kellett, and it looks like he's got Juan Pedrahita chasing him. Urrutia is also there as well. That's the battle for 8th, 9th, and 10th, and we see a car just in front of them, the 55, or just behind them rather, with a little wing damage. That's Urrutia.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, that's a threesome that now works its way out of Pioneer Park. Actually, just as I say it, R.C. Enerson's involved in a battle too. So, Nick, the front runners here have kind of checked out, but some pretty good battles taking place back in the field.
Yeah, Kellen and Pedro Hita make their way single file through turn 10, but you're right, towards the back of the field, Santi Urrutia, the left front part of that nose cone of that wing is heavily damaged, and Mark, he's got 3 cars all in line ready to pounce on a wounded Mazda.
Wow.
Is he going to get a black flag?
Well, yeah, he will. I can't believe that wing's staying on there. Holy cow. I mean, it's barely hanging on. He needs to come in. Oh, I can't believe they didn't just bring him in. You know, it's dangerous for himself if that gets caught underneath of his tire.
Yep,
yeah.
there goes the black flag. He'll have to come in next time by. And now it's folded up on him.
Now it's folded up. You know, the best thing he should do is just let the guys by. I mean, he just hold them up now. And he needs to say, you know what, I got to pit anyways. Let these guys go by and don't impede their race.
So, Gabby, with all the friends that Scott Hargrove made earlier, the 55 of Urrutia, he's not making many friends right now, is he?
Not at all, not at all. I mean, he's definitely way off the pace, and he's going to have to pit anyway. So at this point, the guys that are behind him are really wanting to get him out of the way.
That's Anderson, Enerson, and looks like Alberico. They're all stacked up behind him as he comes off of turn number 8. Nick Yeoman, he comes into your view off that little bender at turn 9.
Yeah, and 2 of those 3 cars behind him are teammates. In fact, Enerson has to jump on the brakes to avoid running into the back of Anderson. They are stacked up, Mark, as they exit through turn number 10. We're going to see Urrutia duck onto pit lane, and I think all 3 of those drivers behind him are going to breathe a sigh of relief.
Gabby, what's that do to the handling of the race car when you see that wing folded up like that?
You lose all the braking power from the front tires, and you absolutely just lose all the front grip. It's just very, very unmanageable to drive.
The 55 works his way onto pit road. 32 laps remaining in this event. 45 scheduled to be run. Rosenquist continues P1. Kaiser beats Sorales and Negral, and the top 5 have settled in nicely, but Davey, still some pretty good battles behind him.
Yeah, good racing all over the racetrack. Really, a lot of teammates racing against each other right now, and like I say, the leaders have checked out, but nice, consistent race right now. Everybody's behaving somewhat, and now just trying to make it to the end.
Let's go to pit road first to Rob Howden.
Yeah, I got an update on Zach Clayman DeMello. He radioed into the team and said there is absolutely no power on the dash, no power in the car at all. It just simply shut right off on him. So trouble for him. He was off in the runoff area. Trouble there for Zach Clayman DeMello. Down the pit lane, Dave first.
The only issue with the stop for Urrutia was the fact he shut off the engine. Dave Higuera, of course, is the team manager for Schmidt-Peterson Motorsports, said, no, keep the engine going. But he came in, changed that front wing assembly. Now Santi Urrutia is back out on the race course.
Dalton Kellett's getting a good view of the water here in St. Petersburg, but that's not an ideal place to be doing it off the final turn. Nick Yeoman, you said that developed in front of you in turn 10.
Yeah, that had been an awfully tight battle here over the last couple laps, and as they made their way through turn 10, Mark, just moments before that incident, Kellett threw a pretty sizable block on Pedro Hita, and I don't think Juan really appreciated it, so didn't get a chance to see exactly what happened in turn 13 and 14. I know you guys are going to get a chance to look at a replay, but Juan Pedro Hita was coming through whether Dalton Kellett liked it or not.
He just lost it.
He just lost it. Yeah, he sure did. Didn't touch him at all, and just overdrove it really. The back end came around and turned around, and no contact, which was good. Just a lot of pressure from the back. You know, he just drove in there too deep.
In that situation, Gabby Chavez, when somebody behind you might be just a tick faster, how much do you drive with your mirrors?
You do. You tend to drive a lot with your mirrors, but you try not to as well. And really, in that situation, you're the guy up front, so you have the luxury of controlling the pace around the corner. And as long as you set yourself up for a good exit, you should be okay to keep the guy behind you.
Rosenquist, Kaiser, Feet, Sorales, and Negral, your top 5. Jones has worked his way up to 6. Stoneman, Pedrojita, Anderson, Enerson in top 10. Then Alberico, Kellett, Urrutia, Blackstock, Hargrove, Clayman, DeMello. Davey, we talk about nice rebounds. Certainly for Zach after the trouble yesterday. He's firmly in 3rd, but a nice rebound for Ed Jones. He's working on a top 5 finish after having a rough day yesterday.
Yeah, you know, I'm still surprised he's off the pace. You know, the guy came here last year and just really unbelievable performance out of that him and that team, and he comes back, just seems to have that he just doesn't have the speed that he's had in the past. I don't know if it's you know, the different setup, different tires, or what's changed, but you know, a lot better today than yesterday, like you say, but still off the pace a little bit.
Let's go to pit road and Dave first.
One of the gentlemen that's kind of mentoring Santi Urrutia, who of course is the Pro Mazda champion from last year and got that scholarship to make his way to the Indy Lights presented by Cooper Tires. one of the gentlemen mentoring him is Eliseo Salazar. You may remember Eliseo, 3 years in Formula One, 8 years in the IndyCar Series. You're a winner in Las Vegas as well. Several teams you drove for. It's just great to have you back at the racetrack, first of all.
Yeah, I'm really happy to be back. You know, it seems that it's not so long ago, but it's been 14 years since I drove IndyCar, so I'm happy to be with Santi. He won the Pro Mazda Championship, and yesterday was the best rookie. Today, obviously, we didn't have luck. He damaged the front wing. We had to stop, so we'll try to get salvage as many points as we can.
How good is Santi? Obviously a champion last year in Pro Mazda. Got a lot of upside, I think, for this young man.
I believe he's an exceptional talent. He came as a rookie, had to learn a lot of things, and he was able to win the championship. He's always very consistent. So being at the Sam Smith team, you know, SPM and Indy Light, I think he has a very good chance to even win the championship.
And for you mentioned it's been 14 years since you hopped out of the cockpit. Just coming back to an IndyCar Series paddock, I'm sure brings back a lot of memories.
Oh, absolutely. You know, you see a lot of the old faces, you know, some new guys.
And the old faces are getting older.
Yeah, you okay. You look the same. But no, I mean, this is. I've been racing for 40 years. You know, Formula One, no more IndyCar, Indy 500. And I started twice on the front row. For me, it's the biggest memories of my life. You know, being there when Juan Pablo won. So just to come here, you know, it's part of the. Just to relieve the passion that I feel for this series.
Things have changed a little bit, but there's a renewed emphasis on this ladder series, this Mazda Road to Indy, and that's got to be exciting for you.
Absolutely, and I think that's the big key, you know, why we brought Santi. He tried to do something in Europe, and we see that every day, you know, people like Rosenquist, Stoneman, Negrao, a lot of people are coming from Europe. I think we have a very good thing with Mazda doing the ladder, the Road to Indy, and hopefully, you know, they will bring a lot of new talent, and not like Formula One, where you can have the talent, but if you don't have the money, that's it.
Will you be with us the entire season? Yeah,
absolutely. I've been a spotter in Phoenix. That would be strange, you know, being a spotter, you know. So I used to yell at the spotter. Now he'll have to yell at me.
Always. Great to have you back here in the series.
Okay, Dave, and I look forward to the 100th edition of the Indy 500. I guess we'll all be there.
I'll be there. Eliseo Salazar mentoring, if you will. Santi Urrutia finished 4th yesterday. He's got his work cut out for him this afternoon to move his way back up to the field.
As a guy who shared the racetrack with him, never dull.
Never dull.
He was
always some days good, some days bad.
That's right.
But you know, I'm glad to see him in the pit area, and I'm glad to see him helping out. And he does love the sport. He's been missing for a long time, so it's good to see him back.
He's found a fountain of youth. That's for darn sure.
Yeah.
The guy looks great, and good for him. So Felix Rosenquist continues his dominating performance. Rob, the lead up to 2.5 seconds.
Mark, I was able to dig up a little bit of information down here on pit lane, and you would not believe what happened yesterday to Felix Rosenquist. Being told by Brian Velarde that when Felix was on pit lane, starting P2, when he fired up the engine, he inadvertently hit the fuel map to the rain mode on the data acquisition system. That gives the car only 70% power, so you don't spin the wheels during a rain session. He ran the entire race yesterday with 70% power. So it was not him at the start. It was actually the fact that he just did not have full power out of that Mazda power plant.
So Gabby, take that point a bit further. What did that do?
That is huge, and I'm just learning this as well. And I mean, when you're running the race on 70% power, you're a sitting duck on the straights. You're a sitting duck on restarts and starts, and that's what we saw yesterday from Felix.
Jake, I know they just slipped by you, but Anderson, Ederson, Alberico, that battle's not going away.
You know, that's what's interesting about this, Mark and Nick, as they come towards you. You may not be running up front, but that trio has been battling for position for about 8 laps now. So even when, Nick, you're not necessarily running for a podium, there's still plenty of racing to do here.
Yeah, and for a couple of those drivers, R.C. Ederson, who's the meat in that sandwich, he's a guy expected to run for the championship this year. So, Mark, he appears faster than his teammate Scott Anderson, but boy, just can't find the spot on this racetrack to get a run and get around that number 77.
You talked about the short track sprint car racing. We saw a little of that from R.C. Ederson off that final turn just now, Dave.
Yeah, you know, when it's all about grip on these street courses, and we see, you know, guys going into the corner smoking the front tires, but we also see guys under acceleration with that back end slide around and getting those sideways on them. So that's never good for tire wear either, especially with 25 to go.
He is really, the 7 of R.C. Enerson is really trying to fill up the mirrors of the 77 of Scott Anderson. Those guys continue to go at it. Jake and the 22 of Neil Alberico continues to be a most interested spectator. Again, this is the battle for ninth.
Already through here, and the last time by, Alberico got a little bit loose coming out of turn number 6, but still keeping those other 2 right there in his sights, about 5 car lengths in front of him.
Enerson just about a car length behind Anderson. Both of those cars, the rear of those cars, stepped out just a bit through turn number 10. Enerson ready to pounce Mark as they make their way through 13 or 14.
So as this run continues and they start really working on these Cooper tires, Gabby, it's always interesting to me to get the different perceptions and perspectives of drivers. When that grip starts to go away, where do you feel it first as a driver?
Oh, in the corners, you don't have the same amount of lateral grip, and that really takes a toll on the times. And we're starting to see the times drop off quite a bit right now. I'm looking at the timing and scoring here, and you know, we're running about 6 to 7 tenths slower than they did in the first few laps, and now we're starting to see some lap times separation there from some of the guys in front.
24 to go. Here comes that battle for ninth again, Jake.
And that's a good one. Enerson right there on the heels of Anderson, trying to move into that spot, but still can't do it. Nick, those 2 starting to look like one big car coming at you.
Yeah, especially when they flash around that kink out of turn number 9. Enerson, again, about a car length and a half. Anderson, that car bobbled just a bit through turn 10. Enerson's able to close up on that rear wing. Not close enough, though, Mark, to show him a nose.
Rosenquist, Kaiser, Feets, Sorrellis, DeGrau, your top 5. Not much change there. Ed Jones up to 6th. Then Stoneman, Pedrahita, the battle we've been watching. Anderson, Enerson, Alberico, Kellett, your top 12. Then Urrutia, Blackstock, Hargrove, and Clayman DeMello. For that number 10 machine, some issues for that car. His opportunity to win has gone away. Nick Yeoman, you say the leader's catching some lap traffic?
Yeah, they're going to flash by on the front straightaway in your view here momentarily, Mark. And Felix Rosenquist, I would expect the next 3 or 4 laps, is going to catch 2 lap cars. One is Santi Urrutia, who had to pit for that nose damage. The other being Shelby Blackstock, who was involved in that initial accident. So Kyle Kaiser really hasn't let Rosenquist out of his view. And Mark, burying a couple laps, this could get a little interesting.
From a spotter standpoint, Gabby, you typically don't have much help helping you navigate this situation on a road and street course, do you?
No, as a driver, you're on the radio and you're screaming to your guys to, you know, go talk to someone, get them out of the way. So this has got to be frustrating. I'm hoping we see the right thing done here, and we keep, you know, the leaders with some clean racing room.
And Davey, just explain it as obvious as it may seem to some. What is the right thing here? It's not just the right thing, but where do you do it?
Yeah, well, the front straightaway is the best. I mean, right now, it looks like the timing could be when they come on the front straightaway. Just pull down and let the leader go by on the outside. No harm, no foul. Man, and right now it looks like Rita, he is sideways and all over. That's not what the leader wants to see. The car in front of him all over the place.
But what if their argument is I'm on the lead lap and I want to stay on it?
Yeah, you know, but there is an argument there, but you don't want to impede the race. I mean, when you're a lapper, you know, you just put yourself in the leader's position. That's what I always say. If you know, put yourself in the position of the other guy. If you're leading the race, wouldn't you want him blocking you and try to stay on the lead lap, or you want to be courteous and let it by?
Are you less concerned, Gabby, with this traffic in front, considering your lead's in 4 seconds? When you get concerned if they start to whittle away at that lead?
I think he's got a little bit of margin here. Not a whole lot. I mean, that lead can disappear very quickly when when you start going a second a lap slower.
Battle for the top 5 is coming your way, Jake. It's DeGrau and Jones, the 17 and the 11. They are nose to tail in your view.
DeGrau has typically started to break a little bit later in turn 7 than do others and bring up a little bit of brake smoke. Perhaps Ed Jones will utilize that opportunity to try to make a move, but not able to do so this time by.
I'll tell you what, Ed Jones might be the fastest car on the racetrack because he was miles behind Andre DeGrau, it seemed, about 10 to 15 laps ago. though. So, Mark, he's close about a car length and a half on under the ground for the top 5 spot out of 10.
Rob Howden, what can you add to that battle for 5th?
I looked at both of those cars on pit lane, guys, when they left, and the Grau had scuffed Cooper tires while it was a brand new sticker pair for Ed Jones. So in a 45 lap race, much longer than yesterday, Jones may have a longer tire wear to go after the Grau here for that 4th place position.
20 to go. That lap traffic continues to run in front of Felix Rosenqvist and Davey. So far, we see Blackstock get to the high side. Looked like he was going to make a move there. It hasn't cost him any. The lead at 3.4 seconds, but it looks as though it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, there's about a half a second that he's lost in second place. So that's a nice lead, but it looks to me like he may have a lot of wicker on that car. As we talked earlier, with no wicker, you have a lot of straightaway speed. But you're slower in the technical areas. But right now, he seems to be all over the technical areas, but can't just get by him down that long straightaway.
Pick it up, Nick.
Here they set up for turn number 10. Urrutia, Blackstock, the lap traffic, back markers. Rosenqvist through turn 10. Kaiser's catching him. Not a threat at all, Mark, to make a move yet on Felix Rosenqvist. But if he's not able to get around those lap cars here in the next couple laps, it might be getting interesting to the lead.
Some of these guys fogging for mosquitoes going into that last turn.
Oh my gosh, and then you got those two guys in front leader racing with each other, almost touch each other. And if they do that, one spins, oh my goodness, the last thing the leader needs is them guys be racing like that, then touch each other and put him in an accident or something. So.
Gabby, can we assume that they're hearing from race control while all this is going on?
I'm seeing blue flags, shown to these guys right now. I think right now the worst is happening, which is they're fighting for position, and that's only going to make the 3 of that pair go even slower, which is going to give Kyle Kaiser. I mean, he's cut about 2 seconds off the lead now, almost. So yeah, that's not what Felix and the Blarty guys want to see.
Pretty interesting stuff, and it continues to get after it as they head toward you, Nick Yeoman.
Urrutia, Blackstock, and then Rosenqvist. Kaiser roars out of the king. He's now about 8 to 10 car lengths, so he's closed a ton in the last lap and a half, Mark, as they exit turn 10.
Now Kaiser's saying, have at it, boys.
Yeah, right. Kaiser's loving, and Veach actually are loving the leader being held up, but boy, he's definitely not liking it. Geez, I can't believe they're doing that. I mean, race control should let the leaders go race, but on the other side, I guess, I know if I'm in that leader car, I'm not too happy, I'll assure you.
Dave first?
Yeah, John Bruner, the team manager for Blarty Autosports, all jumping up and down, getting the attention of the Indy Lights officials, pleading his case to have these 2 cars move over. And last time by, the blue flag was displayed, but so far, obviously, the 2 drivers are ignoring it for now.
Into turn number 4, that threesome we've been following. The caboose in that train, Jake Query, is your leader, Felix Rosenqvist.
I thought Rosenqvist was going to try to go inside of Shelby Blackstock that time by and get himself, at least Blackstock between himself and Kaiser. Can't make the move. Kaiser starting to close that gap for second.
Boy, it shows you just how competitive this field is, front to back. A leader can't get around some of the back markers. He does. Felix Rosenqvist all over the back of Shelby Blackstock, rear end of that car. That 51 Andretti Autosport Mazda steps out, exiting turn number 10. Rosenqvist not able to take advantage of it.
18 laps to go, 17 to go once they clear the start-finish line this time by. Rosenqvist, Gabby sees that lead now fall to 1.8 seconds. It was almost 4 a couple of laps ago.
Yeah, and it's down to a second and a half now. That's hard to see. It's hard as a leader to, know that you're so much quicker, know that you had a really nice gap, and that's shrinking almost about a second a lap now. So it's definitely going to make for an interesting race. It's not what you want to see as a driver, but it's going to make an interesting race for sure.
It's 4 cars now, Jake, because Kyle Kaiser is right there.
Now, Kaiser's got about an 8, maybe 10 car length disadvantage to that leader Rosenqvist, but the reality is that's about half what it was 5 laps ago, Nick.
Can't imagine how wide the eyes of Kyle Kaiser's have gotten here over the last 4 or 5 laps as he just rears in on the back of that number 14 Blarty racing car. It's down to about 5 or 6 car lengths as they clear turn 10. And I'll tell you what, Mark, Zach Veach and Felix Sorrell is starting to run down that foursome as well.
No question, Gabby, your mindset's a lot different trying to pass 1 car as opposed to passing 2, as we finally see one of those cars pull off to the side. Blackstock is not playing nearly as nice. Felix makes the pass.
Yeah, I mean, he's got one guy off to the side. He can focus a little bit. He's got another one in between him and himself and Kyle Kaiser, so that's going to give him a little bit of breathing room. Yeah. But all right, so now we're clear. So now Kyle's got to go around them as well.
And now he's waiting to clear Blackstock. He does. He is able to pass one of those cars. And let's go to pit road and Rob Howden.
Guys, I came down here and asked one of our officials whether or not it was actually a call from race control for Santi to pull over. And they said, no, it was not. That was Santi all by himself. So race control not on the radios telling these guys what to do at this point.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting, but you know, you do want to race. You don't want to give up the race, but on the other side of the coin, I always say, man, when you're leading a race, and I've been on both sides of it. I've had a terrible day, and the guy coming up to lap me, I don't want to impede his race. I don't want to mess him up. He has a good day. My day's bad. I deal with it. But when you're leading that race, and that guy doesn't want to be courteous, which I've had plenty of them in my day, that you know, it's not that much fun.
Kaiser's not cleared Blackstock, Gabby, and just like that, Rosenquist is starting to stretch out that lead a little bit.
Yeah, so now we've got the gap to, let's see here, 2 seconds. So he did cut about 1.5 seconds overall. So now it's reset itself a little bit. We'll see who's got the pace here in the last half of the race, or last quarter of the race.
Now he has indeed cleared Shelby Blackstock. So the leader now all by his lonesome, being chased by Kyle Kaiser. Let's go to pit road here from Brian Velarde, who's with Dave Hurd.
Yeah, so that got a little more interesting than you guys wanted to, didn't it?
Yeah, the call came in from race director that they're racing too, which that's questionable at best. They're obviously slower cars. Lost a little bit of the lead there, but we're back on pace now.
Back on it. Now tell us a little bit about Felix. What have you seen so far that makes him special for you guys?
Well, he's very methodical, calm. His feedback's outstanding. He works really well with his teammate Zach and the engineers and the whole crew. I mean, it's great chemistry throughout the team.
I was going to say, you've been around this now for several years. The chemistry is very noticeable just being around the two. These guys act like they're brothers out here.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's refreshing from what we went through last year, quite honestly. But they get along very well. It is almost like they are brothers.
14 laps to go. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
Brian Velarde, he's got 2 of the top 3 here at St. Pete.
Let's revisit that battle for 9th that comes toward Nick Yeoman. That's Anderson, Enerson, and Alberico.
And again, those are teammates, and Enerson has just gone left, right, just trying to find a way around Scott Anderson, really for the majority of this lap. Not able to show him a nose yet, though, Mark, as they set up for turns 13 and 14. But R.C. Enerson, he's been working on that 9th spot for probably 20 to 25 laps.
That 7 car's really flinging it around, Davey.
Yeah, I mean, he's trying to get by him. He's definitely the faster car. I think once he would, if he can get by him, he'll check out actually. But man, he's just having a hard time getting by his teammate.
Other than not taking each other out, we're assuming, Gabby, there's no team orders. Do you look at that as a teammate when you're in a battle like this? Does that change your thinking at all?
Maybe a little bit. I think the only thing that it changes is you might want to be a little bit more careful if you're going to just throw it down the inside and make sure you don't take your teammate and yourself out. But I don't think there's any team orders here at all.
Jake, that's still a good battle, the battle for 9th.
Tell you what, R.C. Enerson is right there on Anderson's rear wing. To your point, Nick, it's been that way for a while, but it certainly looks like he is trying to make that pounce and just trying to find the gap to do so.
I'd have to assume maybe some somewhat similar setups on those cars. The only way to make me think that he can't get around him, but Enerson roars outside of turn number 10, took a fairly wide line right by the tracks of Scott Anderson.
13 to go as they work their way off the final turn of this course and work their way down the main straightaway. He's got a little breathing room off, does the 77 of Scott Anderson over R.C. Enerson and the 22 of Alberico. They've started to distance himself from him just a little bit. Meanwhile, back up front, Felix Rosenquist, Kyle Kaiser, Zach Veach, Sorrellis, and DeGraw, your top 5. Jones, Stoneman, Pedrahita. Then that battle for 9th with Anderson, Enerson, and Alberico, Kellett, Blackstock, Urrutia, Hargrove, and Zachary Clayman DeMello. DeMello will finish no better than 16th today. Jake, we continue to watch that battle. It's the battle for 9th, the 77 of Anderson, the 7 of Enerson, the 22 of Alberico.
They worked their way out of turn number 8 here around Pioneer Park. Credit to Alberico as well, because as that battle in front of him has been going on now, he has not let them out of sight. Alberico still trying to hang around with those two just in front of him, Peterson and Anderson.
Yeah, big wiggle for Scott Anderson as he set up for turn number 10. Anderson was able to close right on the rear wing, Mark James, so they make their way through 13 and 14.
Looks like the 7's going to try to get a good run off that last turn, Davey.
It looks like this is the best he's had. We'll just see if he can draft, if he can pull out and has enough. He's going to give it a shot, I think.
So you can indeed draft down this straightaway.
Yeah, but he got a little block, too, by his teammate, too, to move down on the inside lane. But I tell you what, these guys are going at it, that's for sure. A little bit of blocking, a little bit of being aggressive from the back, but it's put on a good race.
It's just racing, that's for sure. R.C. Anderson is seeing Anderson make that car plenty wide, and he is filling up both mirrors. Anderson gets to the turn first. He'll shut the door to the bottom side. They'll swing back into the view of Jake Query.
Working their way now. Anderson looks towards the outside, can't make the move. Now tucks right in there on Anderson's rear wing. Used to be he'd try to look to the inside. This time he is right going exactly where Anderson does.
On 2 car lengths as they make their way past the Mahaffey Theater and right in front of the Dali Museum. Both drivers tug that steering wheel towards the left, about a car length and a half, with an interesting spectator right there behind both of them in Neil Alberico.
Coming up on 10 laps to go on the 45. We extended by 15. Davey, how does that change your mindset going from 30 to 45 today?
Well, you just know it's long. You know you had to, for example, Rosenquist, he wants it to be a 30. You know, I mean, he loves to, when you're leading the race, you want to get it over with quick. But tire wear, that extra 15 laps does make the car, the tires wear that much more. Yesterday, we didn't see any fall off on them. We really haven't seen much fall off today either. But with lap traffic and things like that happen, you just got to be prepared for it.
Now we look back up a little toward the top of the field. Felix Sorrellis looks like he's got some company. The 17 of DeGrau is there. The 11 of Jones, and DeGrau makes a pass to the outside.
Yeah, well, he's doing a good thing. He's a lapper. He's pulling out of the way and letting the lead pack get by him. Whoa! And then,
Jones lost it going into turn 1 as they were all dealing with the lap traffic. The 55 of Urrutia, he just lost all the grip. And Gabby, we talked about what a nice recovery this was for Ed Jones, and that goes away with an aggressive move into turn 1.
Yeah, it was interesting for me to see. I mean, he practically dominated here last year and the first 3 race weekends, next 2 race weekends after that, and really interesting to see that he's been, a bit off pace. And here we have a little bit the replay. See what happened there. Looks like he just lost it on the brake and just lost the rear. But yeah, I mean, he's gotten off to not a great start, and he was back on pace today. And just a small mistake there.
Davey DeGrau, that 17, better buy a lottery ticket.
Yeah, he did a good job, but if you watch Jones, he went down to the inside. His back tires were on the runway paint, and the paint has, there's just not a lot of rubber on it yet down low. And I think he just locked up the backs because the back tires on that paint doesn't have much grip, and it just caught him off and turned him around.
He was dealing with the car of Urrutia, Gabby. He went high and then made a pretty abrupt move to the inside, and as Davey said, he hit that paint. That was a pretty, I guess, abrupt move, and maybe a little more aggressive than he should have been.
It's hard to tell. It looked like a good move. I think he just, the inside line there is not where you're used to braking, so there's no grip. You've got marbles, you've got, dirt there, and I think that just caught him out.
Rosenquist, Kaiser, Veach, Sorrellis, DeGrau, Stoneman, Jones slips just to 7th. Pedrahita, Anderson, Ederson, your top 10. Let's go back to pit road today first.
Yeah, we heard earlier from former IndyCar Series driver and Eliseo Salazar as he mentors Santi Urrutia. Another former driver, Darren Manning, is going to be here and there throughout the course of the season. He's mentoring a couple of Andretti Autosport drivers in Dalton Kellett and Shelby Blackstock. First of all, I want to ask you about Shelby staying out in front of Rosenquist. Yes, he was racing for position there. What would you, as a mentor, like to have seen him do there?
No, I think he did the right thing. We were, the guys were on the radio to the race director. They got the go-ahead to keep racing for position, so we told him, just concentrate on Urrutia in front of him and not Felix. They were about as fast as each other, just Urrutia was backing up, so it was kind of funny. The managers come over and talk to each other. They're like, yeah, we'll look into it, was the political answer right there. But yeah, once Urrutia backed up or made a mistake, we let him through. It was fine.
You mentioned your mentoring. You've got a huge simulator program back in Indianapolis. You started that up, a year and a half or so ago?
Yeah, really, I've been building it for about a year and a half, and really just opened this Christmas, to be honest. At the PRI show, we kind of had our launch in Indy in December. And yeah, it's driver coaching, get the young drivers in go-karts all the way up to Dalton and Shelby have been using it, and we get the engineers involved, work on feedback, technique, some driver philosophies that you can't really do. There's so limited track time nowadays. The use of simulators is becoming more and more important for multiple reasons.
It's funny how your phases of your career and your life take you. Now all of a sudden you're a coach, you're a mentor. I never thought I would hear Darren Manning being a mentor.
I don't know whether you want me as a mentor or not, but I might be getting in trouble. Both these guys had bad first laps that I've been kind of working on, but they're both fast. Shelby had a great speed. He's one of the fastest cars out there. He just really got caught up in some, with the melees on these first laps. Yesterday he qualified P4. Dropped back to 9th on the first lap. So, some things to work on and take positives out of this weekend on their speed for sure.
Last thing, you had a couple seasons with Target Chip Ganassi Racing, a couple seasons with AJ Foyt. So just coming back, you see a lot of old friends, don't you?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I kind of stayed away from the racing scene, for a few years there, trying to work on businesses and things. But yeah, it's nice to see some old familiar faces. Nothing changes around here, just like you.
I appreciate that. Nor you, for that matter.
Thanks, fella.
Darren Manning down here. Great to see him. And he'll be at the races throughout the course of the season here in the Indy Lights Series.
All these former drivers complimenting Dave First on his looks. He's got to be slipping him cash before the interview.
Well, that or they do. The older you get, you need glasses. Maybe they don't have them.
The 77 and the 7 continue to slug it out, Jake Query.
These two have been putting on a show for those who've been watching it just about every time by. Rosenquist already the leader here through Pioneer Park, then Kaiser, then Beach. Because those front three have checked out so much, you start looking at different areas of the racetrack fighting those battles. That battle between Enerson and Anderson is the one we've had our eye on, and right now, another good battle that's taking place on the track. Ed Jones, who's had a very, very active day. Jones with Urrutia, that's coming towards you, Nick, and Ed Jones trying to work his way back around that 55.
Santi Urrutia does the sportsman thing, moves to the inside of the racetrack. He'll let Ed Jones blitz by. The next car in line is Juan Pedro Hita. He'll want to get by quickly as well to challenge Jones. But the leader, Felix Rosenquist, Mark Jane's already through turn 1.
Pit Road and Rob Howden.
When we talk about Scott Anderson, guys, we have to remember he does not have the budget to run the full season yet. A good performance here may be able to catch the eye of a new sponsor. It's a partial schedule with SPM. There's a couple different guys that could be in that number 77 with a solid top 10 finish. You never know. Scott Anderson may find himself with some money to run a couple more races.
Gabby, you saw some timing and scoring that piqued your interest?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the timing and scoring here. I'm seeing Scott Hargrove just win a 107.4, which is almost half second quicker than the leaders at this point. So shows that he had a lot of speed. Obviously, getting in that the little incident on lap 1 didn't help.
Gabby, talking about those young drivers don't have a lot of experience in Indy Lights. This may be their first venture into Indy Lights, regardless of the series they were in before. When you're out of contention for the win, these 40-some-odd laps still very, very important in terms of gaining valuable seat time. It's better than any test.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, and you get to really know what the car's, how it changes throughout the race and how the tires behave, and it's just very, very valuable track time that even if you're not in contention for a points-paying position, you really want to just stay out there and learn.
4 laps to go. Rosenquist, Kaiser, Veach, Sorrellis, DeGrau, Stoneman, Jones, Pedrojita, Anderson, Enerson, your top 10. And Jake Query hasn't been much in the way of a battle up front between the front 5 or 6. But again, that battle for 9th place between Anderson, Enerson, and Alberico has been fun to watch today.
It has indeed. Matter of fact, Nick, I think they just went past you, that battle. Leaders right now, kind of the middle of the field, working their way here through that 7-8-9 combo.
Yeah, no change in that battle. Anderson able to hold his teammate R.C. Enerson off, and Neil Alberico not really able to get close enough to make a move by either one of them. The leader, Felix Rosenquist, though, smooth sailing back out of the front stretch.
As he heads towards the start-finish line, there'll be 3 laps complete. You have some intimate working knowledge of what Brian Bellardi has built. Clearly, Gabby, he's built a pretty impressive operation in a relatively short amount of time.
Absolutely, and this is nice to see. This is great to see a relatively new and small team. really having some great success in this last step to the Mazda Road to Indy.
Jake, that leader is getting close to you, and we've seen some great shots of this last lap. That car's just looked fast all day.
Yep, goes past me right now. You can hear him going through that gearbox in turn number 7, now through turn number 8. Nick, Felix Rosenqvist won, if you can get this, 29 races the last 4 years, and F3 over in Europe. Boy, he's taking like a duck to water to these Indy Lights.
Yeah, he's the defending F3 champion, kind of bailed on the European ladder system because he said, hey, there's more opportunity to move up and get in good race cars over here in America on the Mazda Road to Indy ladder system. Mark Janes, that decision paying off on weekend number 1 as he's a couple laps away from grabbing his first career victory in Indy Lights.
Davey, is there anything more fun as a driver than having the field covered to this extent?
Yeah, you know, it's always the best race I've ever won has been on the last lap, last corner, and you get the win. But sure is more, a lot easier on your nerves and time when you just can drive easy. And wow, you're just,
How important are points? It's important enough that the 22 machine, oh my goodness, I can't. Neil Alberico, Davey, he was trying to make a move there, got too aggressive and drove right over the rear of R.C. Anderson.
Yeah, it really, wow, I don't know. And that was just totally 100% uncalled for. I mean, there was no way that he was going to get stopped. I mean, he went in there and plowed into him.
There's no reason to try to speculate on what he was thinking. I mean, he was watching that battle unfold in front of him. Davey, talk about the replay.
Yeah, well, actually, Anderson's trying to go on the outside of Anderson, and I mean, they do their normal entry, and he just came in and just way too much speed and ran right in the back of Anderson. Yeah,
I mean, I guess looking at the replay, he thought the bottom of the racetrack was going to open up for him.
Yeah, that's what it looked like, and it didn't, and he didn't have enough time to slow down, and he just ended up running to the back of Anderson.
Well, that wounded weight race car, the number 7 of R.C. Anderson, is off the pace, but meanwhile, the number 14 of Felix Rosenqvist is taking the final lap around the streets of St. Petersburg. He's got the car of Dalton Kellett, the 28 machine, in front of him. The leader is going to come into your view very shortly, Jay Query.
That red machine, the white 14 audit. Felix Rosenqvist has put it everywhere it needs to be during the course of this morning under the sun-splashed sky in St. Petersburg, Florida. Felix Rosenqvist coming to you for the final time, Nick, on the way to victory number 1 in his career in the Indy Lights.
After a championship run 2 years ago with our guest driver analyst Gabby Chavez, a year ago, not as much success for Velarde Auto Racing, just 1 win with Felix Sorales, who went to victory lane yesterday. Mark Janes, Felix Rosenqvist about to match that total, making his way through turns 13 and 14.
He is off the final turn for the final time. The 14 machine dominant all day long. Checkered flag is in the air. Fist pumping, twin checkers waving. Felix Rosenqvist goes to victory lane here on the streets of St. Petersburg. Kyle Kaiser will grab the 2nd spot. A nice rebound for Zach Veach. He will finish on the bottom step of the podium. Felix Sorales is 4th. The ground rounds out the top 5. And the Davey, for as uneventful as yesterday's race was, this one had a little bit of everything.